We'll now bring the Beaver County Board of Education agenda setting meeting to order on February 11, 2020. Present are Dr. Rodriguez, William Smith, Kathy Robine, myself, Christina Glotz, Earl Campbell, and Robin Fishenberry. So our first order of business, let me get the agenda, that would help, is the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
I move we approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay, and any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Pledge of allegiance. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The media has been properly notified. We need approval of the January, now is this the
Yeah,
23rd or the?
Should be the
It's
23rd,
Yeah, okay,
not the 13th.
okay. So the committee meeting minutes that are here in our folder, just with the correction of January 23rd, 2020, instead of the 13th at Bluffton Middle School. Do we have a motion to approve?
I move we approve the committee meeting with the correction to the date to January 23rd.
Second?
I'm sorry, I second it.
Okay.
All the way through.
And any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
William, did you vote on approving them? Do you have a question about them?
I was wondering, I could sworn I was there because I remember, didn't we wait all there? I was absent. I was trying to figure out how I was absent when I was there.
You weren't absent from the meeting, but you were absent from the vote because you had stepped out for the two votes. You were at the meeting,
Okay.
but so it just says you were absent from the vote, not
To
from the
approve the
meeting.
agenda, yeah,
And you're at the top where it says members present.
present.
Okay, that's what I'm
Okay, so those are approved. Now we're gonna set, basically two agendas. One is the board meeting next week, and then the other is the two-day work session at the end of the month. So let's begin with.
Oh, I didn't know we were doing a work session agenda today.
We're gonna work on it because it's coming up, and we'll have to have one more meeting to finish it and to set the March agenda. But we'll start on it today. So for February 18th, which is the next meeting, let me. So I know one of the things for executive session should be Wendy with the lobbyist contract, because she emailed me that she's made revisions to it, correct? Yeah.
Right, and
Okay.
then we should have the two contracts after we spoke about the selection last board meeting, we should have the contract ready, so it would be that project management, and it would be the construction manager at risk contract.
Yeah.
So those two items.
And what was the second one, I'm sorry, project manager
And the construction manager at risk.
yeah, that one, okay. All right. One thing I don't know if we should have a place card for this or in the executive session or not, but I think if the board or certain members are gonna continue to bring up the grievance matter and ask for votes on the grievance matter, I think that we should have our legal counsel advise us because there are legal ramifications to any votes. So I don't know if we need that or, yeah.
I'm getting requests,
Uh-huh.
okay, and I'm a little uncomfortable with it, to be honest with you, because it seems to me the board took a vote before, and it seems like what being asked to do could go against the will of the board.
Mhm.
And, you know, so I would like some direction,
Uh-huh.
you know, on that, on how to proceed with that. And so
Uh-huh.
it would make sense to me, because there are ramifications. There are not only employees that were part of those grievances, but it also can send a message to any other employee who wishes to you know, file a grievance against a supervisor in the district or anything like that in terms of their own confidentiality,
Mhm.
you know, in doing that. And so, I mean,
Do you have any comments, sir?
Yeah, my comment is this. We should mention it in executive session or in public, it doesn't matter to me. And say that's the end of it, then we won't discuss it no more. If they wanna bring it up, just leave it alone. I wouldn't even add it to the agenda.
You wouldn't?
No, I would not.
Because I feel if they're gonna force a vote, those noisy members,
No.
I think that we should be in, you know, we had legal representation, and I think that representation should advise us.
I think.
If any votes are gonna be taken.
Additionally, I think that, you know, that's fine in terms of the board conversation,
Right.
right? But in terms of what individual members are asking the administration, asking the superintendent to do, you know, I want some clarity, especially if that, would cause me potentially to go against what
The board's will.
I interpret the will of the board to have been.
Mhm.
Well,
Like, for example, like what?
Well, if I think that the will of the board was, you know, to allow the board's attorney to handle that, and if board members, you know, have not seen grievances, right? The grievances, okay? Then how am I then to turn it over to an individual board member who comes in to review, right? Because now, if that's what the board was determining was their will, right? Then how am I in a position to provide it to someone individually to see?
you know, I think that at that meeting, our vote that was 9-1 or 9-0 said that we were turning everything over to Andrea and gonna leave it with her. And at that point, we waived our right to read those grievances. We didn't, you know, we said we were gonna let her handle them. So that was the will of the board.
Mhm.
That was my recollection,
It was
and that's what,
901, and that one person, she abstained, so.
901? No,
No, it was 9-0
Nine-
because
What I just.
Rachel
it was June
and-
25th and
Joanne weren't there.
Yeah, Joanne and Rachel were there. Anyways, okay, so we're a little off
Okay,
the topic
yeah.
here. So it seems like, so we don't have a agenda request on this agenda for this topic. So it seems like right now, then we wouldn't wanna obviously have our attorney come.
No.
Because
Right.
that would be another cost.
That would be cost.
Well, that would be another cost, but if Dr. Rodriguez, it seems like you have some questions that may need to be talked about in the executive session in regards to grievance, because there are questions that are being asked to you, that make you, that are a little bit uncomfortable, with you coming into this position and the different people giving different direction. So maybe that's a conversation we need to have, an executive session,
this is
executive session
yeah.
about
This was when we were.
request coming to superintendent. Maybe that needs to be,
The
maybe
action that was
that
gonna be
needs to be
taken, not,
a conversation,
That's what that was
and,
about. Yeah.
I believe that calls for conversation, so that we can give clear direction and not put you in a.
Well, I guess the thing is, it seems to me that the board has already given clear direction in that vote, that the board's attorney would handle it. I don't understand why I'm being asked
Right, but
to do something
So therefore,
against it, I guess is
and so
the issue.
what I'm saying is, from listening to hearing what you said, if you're being asked, and there was a conclusion drawn from that, then the conversation would need to take place in executive session. Maybe if that's how you feel, then we do need to have that conversation in executive session. I'm wrong about you getting requests that you feel that the question was already asked in regards to grievances. Something with the conversation do need to be had in executive session.
I'll have a good idea. Why don't we, since Wendy's the counsel for the district, i.e. for you, why don't we have her address it in executive session, since she's already, does that sound reasonable?
Sure.
Okay, all right. Because it has to be, legal advice or whatever,
Yeah.
You can't just.
Well, also the board, I mean, I get what you're saying too, but that's fine. I'll leave it, that's fine.
All right, so we have, I don't think the logger's contract would take very long. Do you think those other two will take very long? I don't. So maybe an hour, it sounds good? Does
Yeah.
that seem right?
An hour.
An hour? Okay, because that's the way we have it right now. All right, and we can zip down to,
We're not gonna, I got an email from Kristen,
Yeah.
we're not gonna have the Quincy celebration because that student moved out of town.
okay, all
So we
right,
don't have that.
X that.
Speaking of points of celebration, can you tell me, do you know anything about Beaufort High, when Beaufort High is coming?
I don't,
Because I would love to,
I can ask Kristen if they sign, you mean as far as student performance?
yeah, or anything, because they have a drill team. That our next meeting will be where here?
Our next meeting is here.
Yeah, I
There's
think
Port
that-
Royal's coming.
Or
The student, they sign up for, that's the date they sign up. Kristen sends out a calendar and the principals and stuff, they sign up for the dates and the times of when they want to come.
okay, okay.
So that's how the student performance is.
Right.
She sends a calendar and the schools sign up, which ones that they wanna come to.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, Grievance has a very good drill team that does not get attention and a couple people have brought that up to my attention, and they have really represented the district well. I think at some point in time it would be nice for them to, as a board member, for us to recognize them, and I would love to see them at one of our board meetings, and I was wondering if we could possibly stick them in there or ask them just to come to be recognized.
Why don't you just email,
Talking about the drill team?
Yes, sir, drill team, yes, sir, yeah, drill team, right, yes, sir, yeah.
From Beaufort High
Nice
School?
to be High School, yes, sir, yeah.
maybe you could just email Kristen and find out, have they signed up? And if they haven't, encourage them to sign up so we can have them come.
Well, I mean, that's true too, but I mean, she probably doesn't know either, I mean, how,
Yeah,
She would have a calendar.
She has a calendar.
She has a calendar of everybody who has signed up, so she would be.
Who's Christian?
Kristen works at
Casper, she
Casper.
works
You would
She's in communication.
Yeah,
you
Kristen
recognize
Casper.
her, you see her all the time.
You see her, she's at all the board meetings.
I'll
Okay.
I'll email her right now and ask her,
Okay.
have they signed up?
Yeah, okay,
Thank you.
all right.
No, I don't see a problem with it, but we couldn't possibly, if they didn't though, I mean, they were available to, put them in that slot.
Well, no, that slot's already filled with the choir.
Port Royal.
Also, the student of the month is not coming.
Yeah.
Right.
Student of the month is not
Yeah.
coming. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, excuse me.
Okay. So then we got the approval of the minutes, one set of minutes. Chairman's report, committee reports. I know academics, Kathy, I was there as well, and yes, those three were
Three
were
PDs,
all
yeah.
approved by the committee to come forward. And tomorrow, the ad hoc coherence governance committee, policy meeting committee's meeting, so they may have some.
There'll be an
Update,
update probably from David, yeah.
And tomorrow, the operations is meeting too, so that will be an update likely. Will they have PEs, do you know?
They have, there's the HR grievances.
Yeah.
Yes, they have
That's
PE
HR
5, And then they might have PE 7.9.
Hey, is it finance meeting on Thursday?
Finance is not meeting until the 20th.
Oh,
Because Thursday is a sport meeting.
oh, okay.
Could you please tell me so for the operations, HR 15, and what were the others?
It's HR 5.D.4,
5,
which is
Okay.
grievances.
yeah, and then,
The other one is PE 7.9,
Yeah.
review of school boundaries and
Yeah,
the
that's
10-year
right.
plan, the capital budget book.
school boundaries, capital,
Mhm.
okay, in that book,
Yeah. The school bound, all that's one.
in PE 7.9,
Yes.
yeah, okay. All right,
And then there is an AR, it's not for approval, but the AR for suicide and awareness will come out of operations, because they're just, it's been presented to them before and they made the changes, so if there's no changes tomorrow, then that will be put on the agenda as well.
for this agenda or the next one?
It's on their agenda for tomorrow, so it would
No,
be.
but I mean on here,
It would be
Yeah,
ready
where
to,
is-
it would be ready to go up under operations of whatever comes out of operations tomorrow,
okay,
if they don't have any questions.
and I'm sorry, it's AR what?
It's,
Suicide.
ARSS 50, suicide awareness and prevention.
Okay, 50. All right, so I'm looking at all the notes I've taken for the future agenda topics. Let's see. So you gave us a new one as of February
Mhm.
11th, yeah, okay, perfect. So the Riverview Charter School contract, where would that be?
I think Tanya's got it, since she hasn't been here, I don't think they're
It's
ready
ready
for
now?
it, it's
Okay,
not,
so-
it's not ready yet.
Not yet, okay.
So I need to, reschedule.
TCL MCIP is the next thing.
I think that one, we need follow-up now. That's the team with, Mr. Fox.
Yeah, and then it will
then-
come to the board, okay. So we'll say not yet. The impact fees, that was covered, or we had the presentation and then they brought that back to the board.
It was on Williams going to, make arrangements.
Yes, that was your job.
What's that now?
You're gonna, make arrangements for the whole board to meet with county council for an impact fee discussion.
Or just point out, listen, y'all, I'll call the manager tomorrow, yeah, but,
Okay.
yeah, that's no problem.
So that's-
Yeah, I'm not sure what that problem is.
Well, you know, I met with Chris Hirschavon, and you went to the meeting and said something like that, and he said that from his standpoint, he wasn't aware that they'd been asked and it had been denied, so he's like, well, who did you ask? And I said, I don't know, so.
We asked their clerk, and I guess she went to the chair and said that we wanted to meet as two joint boards. And the suggestion was that we should meet with our finance committee and their finance committee, and work,
Through committees.
work through the committees, it's the small groups, and then bring back the recommendation to the full board. So that's what I was told.
Okay,
Ms. Warshak has asked me for an update on a couple of, legal matters.
Uh-huh.
What kind of matters?
Legal.
Oh.
matters.
Uh-huh.
So I think that
Oh, yeah.
that could be
Executive
done. I think it's something Wendy could do rather quickly.
And at this
It would be
meeting or?
executive session, yeah.
But it would be rather quick, from what I understand from Wendy.
Yeah, I
Okay.
remember she sent those
Two emails.
two emails,
Yeah,
one,
she did, she's
I,
right.
yeah, I remember one was with the student,
One was with
And-
student
and the other
related,
one was
and
the
the other
May
one
River
was the band.
band director, yeah.
Okay. So let's, so Wendy,
That would be.
we'll have 3 topics then,
She'd
right?
have,
Four.
she'd have
Four.
The
lobbyists,
lobbyist,
Oh, yeah,
She'd have-
lobbyists, that's right,
legal updates, right?
and legal updates, and then the
we
grievance
have,
thing.
The project manager,
management,
Yeah.
construction manager,
Yeah, she's got a lot of stuff.
and then when you'll have the
Okay.
grievances.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'm going right down the future agenda topics. So the TIFs, we've got over here.
Well, so we were skipping the,
No, I'm just quickly, because I don't want to miss any of these first. Well, we're still working on the 18th, but I'm just going down the list I have for future agenda topics.
But William's question was, we're skipping the impact fees. That's what you asked? We had the one report, and then we can't do, I think,
William volunteered at the meet, you volunteered at the meeting on Tuesday.
Oh, no, I'm talking
Okay.
about,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was
So
talking
he
about,
was saying, we haven't
That's
finished
it.
this yet.
yeah.
oh, yeah, got it,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
So let's see if we have anything
Okay.
else that needs to go on here. The TIFs are gonna go over here. The, policy committee, that's kind of outdated at this point. We've got the policy committee. School boundaries.
So that's the
That's
PE,
tomorrow,
that's
yeah.
tomorrow.
Okay, so Town EMSC Annex, that was something we said at the agenda setting on January 13th that may come to 6 weeks later to one of these work sessions. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, okay? The joint meeting with the Jasper Board, that's,
Scheduled for March 30th,
Okay.
so that's taken care of.
and that'll be at ACE at 5:30.
Okay.
Academic initiatives.
Well, that may need to, that needs, I think that, this is in March,
March
Mhm.
30th.
March 30th.
Oh, we still got time.
Yeah.
We still got time, okay.
So the academic initiatives was, let me just get that here, because I had that. So that was, I believe, the academics committee request. It was like yours, Tricia's, and Mel's. For the presentation you guys received on the 22nd of January, to have that presented at the work
Right.
session.
Right.
So we need that over here.
So I put that for the 28th. Oh.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah. And you got that on there, or we will?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which was that?
That's the academic presentation
That,
on January 22nd. I'm
So
trying
I
to
wrote it on, if you look on your, I've already typed it on there.
Future agenda.
On the,
this one.
the work session, it's
Got
also on your work session.
Oh,
Oh, thank you.
okay.
All right.
Because this is one that Dr. Stratos did, yeah,
Yeah, this
Had a lot of good
food plan update,
information.
Instructional Services Division Initiative.
yeah, yeah.
All right. So, the demographic study, William, you brought up, you removed it, and now you brought it up again. So
Right.
what's the story?
I'm ready to, move forward on that. I wasn't at the time, I wasn't ready to move forward, and now I'm ready to move forward, so I would like to discuss that at the next board meeting, that we could get into.
Well,
So we need to know what it is now.
yeah,
Well, I think that's a decision for the board meeting. I think, I mean, a demographic study, I mean, you can look at the definition of it, I mean, but when getting into the particulars, I think that's something that I would like to get into at the board meeting. I mean, a demographic study, I mean, it's
Yeah, but you talking about staff or
Staff or
students, or
students?
what are you talking about?
everything. I mean, every.
So what do you, so demographics normally are, you know, ethnicity or race or whatever, that's what you wanna know about the students and the staff?
Right, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
so at the last board meeting, you said March.
March
I thought you said, you made a statement about March.
No, I don't think I did.
You didn't?
I don't think I did.
Okay, I thought I heard March, but, are you asking, are you asking for staff to,
I mean, go ahead.
because
He's gotta know what to prepare.
yeah, and it could also be,
I don't think I need anything from staff. I don't think I just, at the time of discussing it, I don't think that we would need anything from staff.
so you just wanna.
You're gonna give a presentation?
Yeah, I mean, I'm asking it to be, I'm asking us to have a conversation about it as a board, not staff.
Yeah, but what's our preparation for it?
It doesn't need any. I mean, at the time, I think I will bring some things forward and we will discuss some things.
Yeah, but I don't think it's fair to have surprises like that, you know, I mean, if
I
you've got something in
don't
mind
see,
that, you know.
I don't really see that as a blind side for anyone. I think it's something that's a board decision, and I think I want to bring it to my colleagues, and I'm still doing some of the.
You're asking for the board to decide if they want a demographic study, is that what you're
Well,
asking?
yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
I
I
got
thought you
you.
wanted it.
I thought you wanted, yeah, okay. You want the board to talk and decide if they wanna move forward with the demographic study.
Right.
I got you.
So we'll put it under board business action, discuss
That's fine.
Yeah.
possible, is
I
that right?
understand.
Okay.
Possible, demographic study, that's what
Right,
I,
yeah.
that's what you want on the agenda, okay. Let's see what else. And then there's last thing I think that's on here for future agenda topics, was the policy of background checks on board members. I don't know, that might be something that should be at a work session to me, I don't know, I mean,
It would be at a work session, it's gonna be long, I think at a board meeting, we make it, I really don't see how that's a long conversation. I mean, that's just, to me, that's kind of a simple policy.
Why would we need a background check on the board?
I didn't submit this.
I didn't say you did.
Right, I'm just saying, I didn't submit it.
I don't think we need to discuss it, because, I mean, if.
I disagree.
No,
Go ahead, go ahead. Yes, sir.
You're elected, and if there's something criminal in any of our background, that comes up before you got elected. So, that, I don't see no sense in discussing it.
I would agree with Earl, and I don't think we need to discuss it either.
Mr. Campbell, it's easy to say it when your background wasn't the one that was ran. So, I mean, that unfortunately, I don't agree with you, and I do think that we do need to have this on the, I do think that we do need to have this, on the agenda, because, I mean, so that we can dot our i's and cross our t's, so that don't happen again. So, I mean, I think that it is something they could take, we'll take a quick second. I do think that's something that I would like for us to discuss. I would agree, I would second this being on the agenda. That's just that's what I was thinking.
What's your,
Well, is it something that the ad hoc, coherent governance policy, since they're working on the policy right now, could take this and, talk, and
and then bring a
embed it?
recommendation to the
Yeah,
board?
bring a recommendation.
I mean, I don't see why just not put on the agenda at that time. That's something that we want. Then someone could just say, hey, I move at this time that we send it to the ad hoc committee. That way everybody is there. It was on the agenda. We're moving on, and that's where it's going. Oh, that's where it goes. But
The only difference is we haven't established that the board sends things to the ad hoc.
Yeah,
So that's the only difference. But
Well, if we send it, I think if it gets sent from this body to the ad hoc committee, then therefore we're just saying, well, we're gonna supersede what you want as another board member and send it there versus it going to the meeting and someone making a motion for it to go to the ad hoc committee, maybe let the ad hoc committee visit the situation, visit that actual item.
So the board action is to, develop a policy on, the district conducting background checks on board members?
I imagine so. I mean, once again, I guess all that will be discussed when this comes up.
Robin.
That's what I was gonna ask you, is what is the action? Is the action to develop a policy? Is the action to vote on the board? I mean, what's the action? So when we're putting it on the agenda, is it the action for a policy to be developed, or? What Kathy was asking,
Right.
so that's what my question would be.
And hearing it, my memory serves, I think
What was the question on?
The question was to create a policy on doing background checks on board members. I think if my memory serves me be correct, I believe that's what it was intended for. But I mean, once again, it take us 5 minutes to say, look, this is something to go to the ad hoc committee. Ad hoc committee, please bring us back a recommendation on this. I mean, I'm over saying, hey, we're gonna just shut it down. No, we didn't hear you. I mean, especially when you have board members saying that they're afraid to even submit any recommendations or any future agenda topics because they haven't been heard or they're, you know,
Well,
so.
that's not true.
But however, I'm saying,
Well, I don't know who
This is-
submitted this one, I haven't seen
I
it.
think this is John.
That was
I'm
John,
pretty sure.
John said it at the end of the meeting, so.
At the meeting I was not
Right,
at.
that's why.
Yes, I didn't know about
Yeah,
it.
this came out of the meeting last
Okay.
Tuesday.
I thought this was I thought he did it twice at the other meeting too.
He
Well,
had said something about it before.
He said second request, but I don't know
Yes.
when the other request was.
Right.
Yeah, I think it
So,
was during the.
my comment is, we have background checks on our employees, we have background checks on our volunteers, we enter schools, the district can do a background check on you if they want to, and they have every right to, in my mind, every right.
Well, that's once again, that's something that we can have a discussion on, and that once again.
But why would the board members be special and be exempted from a background check? That makes no sense. You have special access to the schools. If anything, maybe we should have background checks as a standard, as opposed to
Well,
as needed.
well, right now, we start talking about that. You and I start getting in the weeds. I think that once again, that would be. I hear what you're saying. I think that would be a good. Once again, that goes to show you that brings merit to that agenda topic right there. Because
So
you and I just you wait for me to answer you back. We're not supposed to be done.
Well, to me then, maybe the best way, or the best way to handle it would be, could we have it under the superintendent's report as to, who gets background checks in terms of, employees, visitors, volunteers, whatever? Yeah.
To
and who
report
has-
out on who in the district gets background checks?
Yes, and who gets, people that have access to schools get background checks, right?
That's standard practice.
Yeah, what's the standard practice? Right. I think that's important to know.
So on the superintendent's agenda, what would that be?
So where do you think it would fit best?
But then, to me, honestly, in a way, I think that would be wrong because a board member thought that this was a board discussion, and now it's almost like we're taking it out of the context, and we're giving it to
We can have it
him.
both places. He can tell us, Dr. R, right? Dr. R could have it under number 4, because we have policies. I know we do, because I've heard Alice talk about the background checks and blah, blah, blah. And actually, more checks are done now, like financial checks on people, or whatever you call it, financial checks on the people that are
I don't know, I think we all did a lot of
Handling
background check on
money.
me, I don't know.
Okay.
At least I was told.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. Background check. Yeah. So, and then,
Which is smart. You'll remember you're getting.
so I think we need to know what, do you have any, you think that sounds good, Aaron?
Like I said before,
Yeah.
as board member, when you're elected, I'm pretty sure the election commission know whether you have a crime against you,
Yeah.
For the newspaper.
the
Take care
newspaper,
of that too.
you know? So I do not see
The need
why
for,
should the need for it, that's just me.
yeah.
So we're putting it under policy and implementation?
Well, what do you think, Kathy? Do you think it's important for us, I think it's to make if we're gonna do something
We
different.
need to have the information.
Right,
So I
right.
think if we put it on so that Dr. Rodriguez can talk about what is currently in place for all of the employees and
Or volunteers,
volunteers,
or-
substitute teachers.
Yeah,
I mean,
whatever's-
I did my fingerprints and everything when I was substitute teaching here.
Yeah.
And then we can put it under,
Board business.
board business action in terms of, then we can discuss it after we hear that, and then we can decide whether we want to send it to the coherent policy group or not.
Well, on the agenda, you have a vote may take place on any potential, so if you, under the superintendent's report, so kinda don't have to move it twice. Because
I mean, well, if we-
you would have the discussion, and then whatever recommendations that you have comes from the superintendent's report based off of the information it gives you.
Well, it was kind of like last time where we had the FOIA, we did both things under board business action.
We ended up doing them both,
Well,
because
so we can do it
you,
that way, that's fine.
because you reported out under the superintendent's, the FOIA was reported out, and
As part of
then, and then the discussion was under board business, but since they kind of mirrored up under each other, because the information was under the report, you just did it under the superintendent's report, you just did them both.
So discuss possible policy of background checks on board members, that's specifically what you're interested in?
Yes, that's what I would put.
No, this is not my motion.
Okay.
This isn't my motion.
Okay. Alright. Oh yeah, that's what was on here, board members, okay. So, alright, now we can flip back, I guess, to the superintendent's report. One thing I noticed from the work plan is that, what about the quarterly financial statement, or,
Tanya says she's taking that to the finance committee on the
Okay.
20th, and then we'll
so
go.
it'll be after that?
It'll be
Okay.
after that,
Alright.
so it's going to the finance team first.
All right, because that was one thing here. Do you want to look your superintendent's report over, Dr. R?
Yeah, I was speaking with my team,
Yeah.
and I know they were taking things to academic committee meetings, for example, and there were things going to operations committee, but those are the way of PEs.
Mm-hmm.
Tanya had, she gave you those three, right? Yeah, those were.
Those are typical every month,
Yeah.
that comes,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
second reading, so
Exactly.
those are regular report outs.
This isn't, let's see, yeah, and,
Because student achievement is PE 1-3.
yeah,
That's the,
Yeah, exactly, that's
So it's
exactly
gonna-
what it
It's
is.
gonna come, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's gonna come.
Yeah,
So, I think, I mean,
yeah, exactly.
yeah, and then we added the background check there, so.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
gonna,
Okay.
and that's gonna be what your current policy is, right? We'll
Yeah.
put
Yeah,
that back.
current state, what's the
Yeah.
current state?
Exactly,
Yeah.
what's standard practice? Background checks, okay, standard practice.
And then, have an update from the last,
Referendum,
referendum, committee,
Clock.
the clock meeting,
okay,
and then, in March,
mhm,
they'll have another meeting, the beginning of March,
mhm.
and they've asked, to make their quarterly report on the second meeting in March, not the first. That was their request.
Okay, so maybe Robin, you can
Note
jot
that
that down,
second meeting.
because, but the other thing we're gonna have, I believe at the second meeting
Should
in March,
have the-
Pat,
We should have the,
priority schools and the,
well, the priority schools and the teacher
yeah,
group, I'm saying.
and the target schools or TSI schools.
Yeah.
we have a
TSI, the
lot.
priority, all
Okay.
of.
Those would all be the second meeting in
Yeah.
March.
Unless you want to, change,
Yeah.
but.
Alright. So Kathy, do you still,
You know, I don't know. I think, Rachel and I have had some conversation about this. I think I need some more information.
yeah, and I've had some conversation with Rachel also.
On
So
the,
take-
On the,
tenure?
yeah, on the early childhood
Like,
change.
it might be
yeah.
better if it's broader
If it's just
and it might not even.
yes, yeah, you know about the
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
we're leaving it
that's
the way
fine.
it
We're
is.
just leaving the way it
That's
is.
fine, we'll
Yeah,
tie our
So
hands.
take it, take it out.
Who asked for the amendment?
I did.
Okay.
I'm withdrawing it. And we didn't talk about it last time because I
She
wasn't
wasn't
there.
there.
Right, but I thought we did talk about the, early childhood,
Wait, it's in
Yeah, we
there.
already got it
We've
on there.
already got it in our legislative priorities, but I wanted to amend it.
Or tweak it, I
Or
guess
tweak
might be
it,
the
yeah.
word.
Yeah,
But Kathy was gonna make it, how should I say, more specific.
More
It's probably
specific.
best if it's left broader.
yeah.
well, no, I do agree with that. It won't hurt to add that to it.
Well, it does have some consequences if you add that to it.
Well, and what are those consequences? Well, actually, no, I apologize, we should,
Yeah.
But it's on there, I think maybe
Yeah.
you're misunderstanding, and I mean that respectfully well. Because already we've added early childhood education to our legislative,
Agenda,
letter.
right,
Yes,
right,
it's
Right.
there.
right.
and, and it's good, it's broad, and.
Oh, I just go back and,
Yeah, go back and look at it.
Yeah, go
I
back.
just go back, I
Yeah,
just go
I
back
don't think
and look
we,
at it.
Yeah,
Because
and
I'm
the
just,
importance of that letter is really for our lobbyists to
right.
know what we're interested in, and clearly, it's very
Yeah.
clear from that what we're interested in.
yeah. So we can delete that.
Okay, so, anything else for this agenda? For the 18th? All right, so let's move on to the work session. And I would say, so we need to, at the end of today's meeting, we need to decide on another agenda setting next week, because several of us won't be here the last week of the month, and that includes Robin and myself. So we have to have another agenda setting to finalize the work session and March 3rd. But I think
Well-
we should start it today.
Maybe we have to use maybe Molly may have to get some practice with Molly and maybe we can have you call in.
Well, no, because don't forget, we have to do it, this is, what is it, February 28th and 29th, so we have to do it the week ahead of time, unless we do it all tonight. But I thought it would be better if we started it tonight and then finished it in next week, because if we need to juggle things or add something, we could still do that. I mean, that was my thinking. Okay. So, one thing would be, so the Town of Yamasee Annex is the one thing we have left from the future agenda topics. So it was supposed to come to this work session agenda if appropriate. To me, from what we have no official correspondence still, is that correct?
No official correspondence, and, we'll-
From the town or the county?
From anybody.
From anybody.
From anybody.
Wendy, I know, spoke and said she contacted one of the attorneys with the county. They had no knowledge of it.
Yep.
So I don't think it's ready to come, because what are we deciding?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna say. I mean, if you read the paper,
Right.
I think this is I think that's something that
Okay.
I would jump in that discussion.
Okay, so not yet.
It's gonna be a long process because
Yeah.
they have to go to, not only the county council, but they have to go to the state also.
See,
Right,
that's-
there is
that's
a
right.
state process
right,
behind
right.
And it is possible that they could, it's possible that they could do, if they decide to make the move and everything moves forward, that the school
Could still be in the county.
could still be.
Right.
Yeah, I said that too.
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
That's why I said what I just said. Yes.
So it may have nothing to do
We
with
don't have-
us
yeah.
in the end.
Yeah, we might be jumping the gun. Now, when did we say, I know we talked about this, but Vox, when is he coming in March, first meeting in March? or-
Well, we're gonna touch base with him again and clarify for him what's come out of our engagement in terms of the things he wanted us to work on with them to correct, right? And so I'd like him to put his eyes on it to make sure that, it addresses the concerns that he had,
Mhm.
Okay,
right? And then I think we would bring it back.
okay.
So
So-
it's possible, we can put it on here temporarily,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then,
Placeholder, sort of?
that's right,
Yeah.
and then,
So which day would you,
I'm assuming.
Friday.
Friday would be
Yeah.
better, right? 'Cause
Okay.
it seems like that conversation on
Kind of goes
Saturday may be a lengthier
Yeah.
conversation, I would think.
the policies?
The policy.
Yeah.
What about,
So we have, so we said, Robin, just now,
Yeah.
tonight, we said the academics presentation of 1/22/2020 would be,
I had
that's
that.
here.
I had that on Friday.
Yeah.
Strategic
Yeah,
plan
yeah,
update
yeah,
of special
exactly.
service division,
Okay. Yeah.
that's that.
All right, and we have the TIFs, because that's when they can come.
Right.
And then we'll say, Now, would Mr. Vox be in executive session? Yes, because he's perhaps wanting to negotiate or amend a contract, right?
Right. I mean, if that changes, right, if he says, no, I don't need this.
In executive session.
That's fine.
I'll
Yeah.
change, we'll change it,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay,
What about the efficiency study? When is that?
That is completed March 15th.
March 15th.
okay, so that's not really that.
But, you know, I mean, everything's moving along, you know, we have conference calls with them, they got all the documents from us they need, you know, those kinds of things, so
You want to include that in your
Update, I
reporting
will.
update,
Yeah, I think
just
that
so
would be
that
really
people, you know, that we know what
What's
it's
going on.
moving forward.
Sure.
Right, yeah.
So you're gonna give a referendum date, update, and
And
an
an
efficiency study. That sounds really
update,
good.
Yeah.
All right,
So right now, are we trying to do an executive session, perhaps placeholder on Friday the 28th?
Yes,
And that would be first thing, I imagine?
it would be first thing, yeah, right.
Right.
with Mr. Vox. So I don't have anything else on my list. How about you, Kathy?
No?
Do
Will you do
William?
anything on your list?
No, not this time, but, yeah, no, not this time I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe sometime today I will, shoot email to the board and ask them, maybe if there any, I didn't finish it, I hadn't, the ones I finished is on the titles, what I didn't get a chance to touch it yet. Well,
It seemed like we had other things on here, I don't know why, on the work session.
But those were I put what I had on there, because we kinda ended up moving what we had work session, we tended to move,
Oh, I know one thing,
what do we have,
board budget.
the board budget.
Yeah, that was
Yes.
one of the things that we
We're gonna
had.
put that for Saturday,
Okay, yep,
that came out today.
yes, exactly. So I think that's probably gonna be less likely than the policy thing, so maybe that should go first.
Okay.
So the board budget, cause,
The other thing that might come out,
yeah,
as I shared with you, tomorrow morning, well, it looks like they might reschedule. Tentatively, we're scheduled to meet with the town of Bluffton and technology. They want us to come over and look and see if the space will work, and they're supposed to tell us, we're meeting with their technology people and our technology people. It was scheduled for tomorrow morning at 8:30, but Rob Compier has the flu, so right now, we're talking about if it's being rescheduled or not, but we were going to report out. I asked Rob if we met, and if it was something viable, that if he would come on Saturday to report out.
okay, perfect.
So that
Let's put it down.
Saturday is tentative for that.
So that would be the Rob Comfair.
Town of Bluffton update, and it would be,
With the-
for a meeting.
And that's
As
for
a
the
meeting
county
site.
channel.
Robin's
It'll be
ours.
Facebook.
Yeah.
It's for us to go there, and they were talking about do Facebook Live and stuff, so.
You got anything else?
Okay,
no, just saying that.
all right,
Oh, you
that's
can't?
good.
Yeah.
I'll hide it next time.
Okay.
I don't know what else for Friday, if you all had any.
Well, the
So
strategic,
Friday could be a half a day, or?
I was gonna say maybe you should
the
wait and see what
strategic
else.
plan update and the instructional services division, that might take a while.
Yeah, that is.
I think that's,
It's
yeah,
between
Pretty
that-
long presentation.
Yeah.
And with executive session, so.
Yeah.
The other piece,
Yeah.
what about, so we have, the security for elementary schools.
Yeah,
Okay, so we have quotes, several quotes from, different security firms. Okay, so we can, we've already provided before what it would cost to have an SRO, and we have shared what it would cost. We had a quote from one firm, but we have additional quotes now, so we can talk about that. I know that the board had had voted for that. One of the things I think as we head into budget season, it may be worth talking about, just because that's not a one-time cost, right?
Right,
That's going to be a
Current
recurring
cost.
cost every
It is,
year.
yeah.
right.
Okay, and that's not something that's been, budgeted for before.
Right.
So that's gonna hit this budget, I think, pretty hard.
Yeah.
Because there's,
So where do you think that should be? Because
If
it's also,
the contracts,
and it's a safety, so should
Have to
part
we
of
don't have
it,
to talk about,
you don't have to.
I mean, if the issue is about, I don't have a particular contract that says, here's a contract, vote to approve it.
Oh,
Right?
yeah, okay.
I
Okay,
don't have
okay, all
that,
right.
right? What I have is, here are quotes, wasn't budgeted for this year,
right,
so, what we've been able to do for this year
So
is add 2 additional,
SROs.
well, technically 3, because I added, right choices,
Yeah,
right? And then there are 2 additional, elementary schools that, have SROs now.
mhm,
Okay, so, but in terms of the other elementary schools,
yeah. Did our motion have a dollar amount in it when we, oh, I thought it
I
said
believe-
$800,000 or so.
I believe what the motion said, the conversation at the board meeting, okay, involved a discussion that said, this wasn't something
Oh, to
budgeted
pursue.
for, but pursue.
Sue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pursue,
so we
right?
need an up,
So-
we definitely
so
need
when
an
you-
upgrade on that.
I
yeah.
took, I'm taking
We
pursue
pursued.
to
Yeah.
mean that I'm pursuing this to
Right.
find out
How-
what
the
it's going to cost
is,
us.
Right,
Okay, and that sort of thing. But in terms of, and additionally, we've added 3 additional since the beginning of the year, right? SROs. Now with the security firm component, I think that's something that has to be budgeted for next year,
right.
Maybe, so is it an FYI, here's a heads up, and this is what it's gonna cost, and,
Now, it could be, I'm not gonna say a specific school, but,
Yeah,
but I would say here's some dollar amounts.
okay,
yeah,
And I don't think that's,
no,
that could be out there in the.
that
I
could be
think
out
so.
there in the public,
Yeah.
yeah.
So where do you think it would be best, on Friday or Saturday? We've added board budget to the Saturday with the policy manual and the town of Bluffton, whether that's a viable meeting, option.
so that, let me ask you that's a board budget update?
Yeah,
And
No, that's not a board budget
It's not
update.
update, it's gonna be, voting,
Discussion,
Working on
discussion.
discussion,
board
working on our,
budget discussion for next year.
yeah.
Yes,
Our
because
proposed
we've already
budget.
queried the board members and
The
then,
budget of the board.
yeah, and we've already queried board members and,
I'm going to priority school meeting tonight, well,
Oh,
Fire.
the railroad
Fire,
tonight,
yeah.
oh, great, okay.
good night.
all right.
Yeah, and we're gonna, Robin, Tanya and I are meeting before then, so we can give a comprehensive,
Okay,
suggestion or whatever.
all right, so, since there's a budget conversation on the
Yeah,
second
let's-
day,
yeah,
might
let's
as
do
well
that.
do it on the second
Okay.
day?
Yep, I think that sounds real good.
Yeah,
Okay.
So,
Elementary.
board budget, and then that would be, what would you say, it's elementary,
security at elementary
Security.
school.
Security firm?
yeah.
Yeah, we have to go back and maybe Robin can find that motion, the exact motion, so we
Okay.
have the
Alright.
words of it.
So
Do we
actually,
know if the governor has any money for security in his budget? That he's,
My understanding was that they were going to do the same thing that they've done, which is to provide money for 2 at schools that don't have them,
okay,
right? But we still incur costs when
Yeah.
we do that, because that's not including startup fees and all that kind of stuff, So we still incur costs.
well, I guess that's, I think that's pretty slam right now too,
All right, so I think we've covered, has anybody got anything else for this meeting? And then we gotta decide on the next.
We want to meet again to firm
Yeah.
up the 28th.
Exactly, 28th and 29th.
Yeah, the 28th and 29th.
28th, 29th, as well as March 3rd.
It's March 3rd, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Finalize, yeah, the work
next
session
week
and then
are you all, we have the 17th and the
everybody look at
19th.
their calendar.
The 17th is next Monday, it's President's Day.
Uh-huh.
Works for me.
But we're open, so
Let me just see where we are.
How about Tuesday?
Tuesday's board
And board
meeting.
meeting.
Oh,
Wednesday's the 19th.
We have an academic committee meeting,
What time? It is on the 19th?
We have an academic on the 19th,
At what time?
4:30.
4:30,
Okay.
and that is at McCracken.
Okay.
Then the 20th, we have a finance committee meeting at 5 at Hilton Head Library.
And some people will be going to the school board conference on,
Only two.
only two on the 20th.
It's Christina and David on that, and that conference, that workshop is over with around 4:30.
Okay.
That's on the 20th
Yes.
of February?
Mhm.
well, how about,
That's it.
why miss Monday then? President's Day.
Madam Hilton,
Yeah.
is that something I should attend, or is that a,
Yeah, if you would like, the other superintendents are.
Yeah, we can talk about that
Yeah.
after. It might be real good, actually.
Okay.
And it's right close by.
Yeah,
Okay, so it seems like,
17th.
Wednesday, the 19th is really not, I've got a lot of stuff ahead of academics, so I don't think,
And we're meeting for budget on the 19th.
and we're meeting for budget.
So how about the 17th?
So the 17th would be good. So that's Monday. So let's go to this Monday. So how about 4:30 at, the library, Bluffton Library? All right, so this would be agenda setting. Let me see, Bluffton.
I really need to see, I really need to see my other schedule. I'm gonna just, I guess that'd be, fine right now, but, yeah.
All right, is that good for you, Kathy? Okay, all right.
We've been,
Dr. R.
haven't we been routinely having them on Monday? Is that the day?
That's
we've been
normally,
normally
usually,
have
that's
them?
usually
Yeah.
our dates,
Yeah.
our Mondays.
4:30 at Bluffton Library.
Mhm. And that would be the day before the board meeting, and we can get the next board meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other, discussion?
All right.
Make a motion to adjourn?
My second?
All in favor? Adjourned.